Hey folks, I hope you're all well and staying safe. Now, I know the holiday season is coming soon, so you may be hearing a lot about this amazing new thing called virtual reality. And the name that keeps popping up for an affordable headset is Oculus, and specifically the Oculus Quest and the Oculus Rift S. You may be thinking which one is the best for you to get if you want a good VR experience. Well, have no fear, WaqMan is here. We will be going through both headsets and which may be the best headset for your circumstance. I will only go through things that I believe I would care about if I were to choose between the two. So, if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up as it lets me know to make more of this type of content. And subscribe to the channel as well as share with a friend thinking of getting into VR. Not only that, I'm giving a copy of Fallout 4 VR to one of my subscribers, so you can have a great game to get you started. So, let's get straight into it. I have put up the specs for both headsets on the screen, and I will go through the things that actually affect experience. Now, I have seen some people comment that they have had some technical issues with the Rift S. However, I can only go off of my experiences, so I will tell you what I experienced. Let's start with the price, which is $399 or £399 for the Rift S or the Oculus Quest for the 64GB model. So price wise they are exactly the same. Now, you can also get the Oculus Quest 128GB model for $499, but for this comparison we will just compare the 64GB model. So, what do you get for your $399? Well, there are a lot of similarities between the two, so let's focus on the major differences. Okay, so I want to start with this one first because I don't want anyone to waste their time. If you don't have a PC, then there is no point of getting the Rift S, it's just not an option for you. Only the Quest is a standalone device where you don't need anything to start using it. Think of it as a full-fledged console. Also, if you travel a lot and don't have a gaming laptop, then the Quest is the only option for you on the move. But if you have a PC or gaming laptop and want to see which is the best out of the two, then keep watching. Okay, so the first major difference between the Rift S and the Quest is the refresh rate. The Rift S for some reason has an 80Hz refresh rate, where the Oculus Quest has a 72Hz refresh rate. Now, this isn't a big number, however you can actually notice the difference. But this feature on its own is not enough to choose one over the other. Also, if you didn't know, a higher refresh rate allows better handling of high-speed motion, and the higher the refresh rate, the better it is. But I wouldn't use this as a sole deciding factor. So the next major difference is the Rift S has a software IPD adjuster, whereas the Quest actually has a physical IPD adjuster on the headset. If you didn't know, the IPD is the interpupillary distance between your eyes. So, if you're a Cyclops or Sid from Ice Age, you will have a tough time with the Rift S. Although both have a range from 58mm to 72mm, on the Rift S the lenses aren't actually moving. Now, I don't have an issue on the Rift S and my IPD is about 58mm. Although when it comes to giving it to someone else that might be new, you won't know what to set it at as you can't see what they see. And they can't physically move the IPD themselves to put it to where it's clear for them. One thing I will say about this is that Oculus have really let the Rift S down with the lack of a physical IPD adjuster. And if you have an extreme IPD one way or the other, you will struggle. But I doubt most of you know what your IPD even is. So what I suggest is downloading an app called Acer IPD Meter, which is what I used. It will tell you what your IPD is and you can see if the Rift S is a viable headset for you. Next is comfort. The Rift S is actually really comfortable, where you can wear it for hours without a problem. On the other hand, the Quest is the most uncomfortable headset I have ever worn. There are ways that you can make it more comfortable, such as weight distribution or the HTC Audio Deluxe strap, which costs over $100, and it's really rubbish that you need to actually buy another company's product to make the Oculus Quest actually comfortable enough to wear. There are cheaper solutions, but it's still a bit ridiculous. The comfort is actually a major factor for me, and the Rift S wins that hands down, since no red mark should be appearing on my face after a short playthrough, making me look like I've been in a fight. The next major difference is that the Rift S has 5 tracking cameras, whereas the Quest has 4 tracking cameras. To be honest, yes, there is one more tracking camera at the top of the Rift S, but I don't know how many of you guys put your hands on top of your head. Personally, I think it's poorly placed, because even when you're reaching up, you're also looking up, meaning the cameras on the front would generally track you anyway. So tracking wise, I would say they're generally the same. One more major difference I want to mention is that the mic quality on the Rift S can become very poor at times. Now you won't notice it, but other people will. Apparently it has a terrible robotic voice at times. It's actually really bad that people can tell what headset you have due to the mic quality. But this issue doesn't seem to happen on the Quest though. There are still other differences, such as different lens quality, etc. However, to be honest, I don't really care because it's what you see that actually matters. So we'll come back to this. Now, the question that I'm answering here isn't, is the Oculus Quest good? Which it is. What I'm answering is the Oculus Quest better or at least on par with the Rift S when it comes to PC VR gaming? Because like I've mentioned, if you don't have a PC, then you don't have a choice. I'm not going to go into the PC specs since you would need to get at least the minimum specs for VR, and the more powerful graphics card you have, the better the visuals. Although one thing I will mention is that when I tried the Rift S the first time after coming from the CV1, I was actually very impressed on how clear it looked. It actually made my upgrade worthwhile. So let's go with the advantages and disadvantages between the two. I've already mentioned comfort, but it is a big factor to consider. Next is connectivity and visuals. Now here is where it can be different for different people. So firstly, the Rift S has a DisplayPort connectivity and no wireless option. The Oculus Quest on the other hand is connected through a USB-C cable. There is a particular USB-C cable that Oculus has developed which makes it a little faster, but honestly it's not the same as the DisplayPort when it comes to data transfer. However, the Oculus Quest can also play PC VR games wirelessly via virtual desktop or ALVR. Now this is a complete game changer. How could anyone recommend anything but the Quest? Well, here is where it can get subjective. Now, I personally have a decent 5GHz router where I get 200MB download speed and 20MB upload speed. However, I just couldn't play wirelessly without a lot of latency and lag, making the wireless option useless for me unfortunately. Now, you could have a different experience with this. However, doing a bit of research, majority of the people have also had this experience, and there are only a select few that manage to make it work flawlessly. But for me, it meant connecting with the cable to play PC VR games. So, which is better with the cable? Well, hands down the Rift S is much better when connected to the PC. The DisplayPort transfers data faster, giving you an overall better experience. On the other hand, the Quest, with its USB-C, needs to compress its data and then decompress it, making you lose visual quality. Okay, so you've got that answer. But you may be thinking, isn't the Quest still a better overall package? Considering Oculus are supporting it a lot more and have added a lot of new features in it, whereas the Rift S has been completely abandoned. Well, this depends on what's important to you. But let's state some of the major things that Oculus has added onto the Quest since launch. Well, number one is the link cable. That's actually a massive update that shook the industry. The next is hand tracking using the Quest cameras. Another thing is that you can sideload games, although this was generally there from the beginning. There are other updates, but not really big game changes. Okay, so we have already gone through the link cable and its only capability is to make it more like the Rift S. But the Rift S is still better at it. In regards to the finger tracking, honestly speaking, even though I love VR and actually get excited over this update, right now it's just a gimmick. If you actually enjoy playing serious games rather than short experiences, then this isn't going to be used in any of them. It's a really cool feature to show someone new to VR, since everyone thinks they can just grab things with their actual hands when they first start out. So it's great to get that wow factor, but once that initial period is over and you want to get into some actual gaming, you will need controllers. The controllers have vibrational feedback that you need to be able to get immersed, so the update, although cool, isn't really that big of a deal. The most use I've had is on the home screen, although even there the controllers are easier to use for me. Now, moving on to the games. To be honest, the Quest can play Quest games wirelessly or PC VR games with a cable, so it does have the best of both worlds. But let's say you have a decent spec PC. The recommended spec for the Rift S is the GTX 1060. Now, I'm going to give you my personal view as I went through this. When I started the Quest for the first time, I was actually quite disappointed. But only because I had just come from PC VR gaming. Even though, at that time I had the R9 280X, which is a little less than the minimum specs for the Rift S. I could tell there was a massive difference in quality and comfort. The Oculus Quest as a standalone wireless device has an aging Snapdragon 835 chipset, which you really notice if you have ever played a PC VR game. Now, don't get me wrong, the Quest is a fantastic VR headset as long as you don't have a PC that has at least a 1060. Because if you do, then why would you play Quest games when you can play PC VR games with substantially better quality? The only games I would say I would potentially choose the Quest over the Rift S are Beat Saber and a boxing game like The Thrill of the Fight. This is because the visual quality is not as important in either of these games, but the wireless makes it a lot more fun. Although this can be debatable as well, as the visuals are that much better and the cable isn't that big of a deal. So then the question becomes, why would you get the Quest for PC VR gaming? Well, I wouldn't. So the conclusion is that if you have a reasonably spec'd PC, then I would choose the Rift S, even though Oculus seems to be treating the Rift S like the forgotten child when it comes to adding new features. But I want to ask you, what new features do you actually want? There's only one feature that I want, and that is to make the Rift S wireless. However, one big caveat I would like to add is that there are rumors that Oculus are working on a wireless solution for the Quest to play PC VR games. Now, I don't know if that's for the Quest 2 or for the current Quest, because if that comes into place and we can play PC VR games wirelessly without the unreasonable latency, then it flips everything upside down and the Quest becomes a must-buy. But for now, my recommendation is the Rift S over the Quest if you have a PC. But is the Rift S the best PC VR headset for you since the G2 has been confirmed to be shipped worldwide in October? Well, that's a question for another video. But for now, that's all folks. If you enjoyed the video, then please give it a thumbs up, share with a friend and subscribe to the channel. Remember, I'm giving away a copy of Fallout 4 VR to one of my subscribers. So make sure you're in it to win it. Well, thanks for watching, have a great day, stay safe and see you next time.